Hello everyone, Alistair Gold here. Yes, again. I am here again, I'm sorry, but there was more stuff to talk about. As is always the way, you do a video and then head off. A couple of hours later, other stuff happens. But it's fine, there's been more developments today and a press conference today. So this is just kind of a little relatively quick, I don't know why I did that for relatively quick, in my kind of terms, just to chat through some of today's takeover talk and also Thomas Frank's press conference, which had some interesting little bits and pieces we can chat about. So, if you're not aware, Tottenham Hotspur have unequivocally rejected an informal expression of interest from a consortium headed up by Brooklyn ENIC looking to take over the club in what has been reported to be a £4.5 billion deal. Technically, the package is 4.5 million, or certainly that's the idea. But we'll talk about that. So that has already, like I say, been rejected. But that is just rejecting the interest. So there's more to come on that. Obviously, the Lewis family, who own Spurs through a trust, we know they remain adamant. From what I understand, that the club is not for sale. Actually, it's not even from what I understand, because there is now a formal statement out there. And if you're not aware, ENIC is like a tech entrepreneur is the word I was trying to say. I think formerly a DJ. Seems quite a character, quite prolific on social media, stuff like that, reacting to the newspaper articles about it this morning on his Instagram account and everything. He failed, I think it was this year, to acquire the Formula E team Maserati. Didn't happen for one reason or another. And this reported deal, it's essentially reported to be a £3.3 billion takeover bid from this 12-strong group, which involves NFL and NBA investors. And then there's this further £1.2 billion reportedly, which will be set aside as transfer funds for Thomas Frank. Sounds amazing. Of course it does. Just sounds like numbers to us. However, that is just the reported side of it. What we definitely know is that this informal expression of interest has been entered, and because of all takeover panel rules, that suddenly has to become public, which it did today. And it went on the London Stock Exchange, and Spurs released an official statement which went on there as well, which said, sorry for the jargon, but it's time to read. The board of Tottenham Hotspur Limited is aware of recent media speculation and confirms that its majority shareholder, ENIC Sports and Developments Holdings Limited, has received and unequivocally rejected an informal expression of interest in relation to a proposal to acquire the entire issued and to be issued share capital of the club from a consortium led by Mr. Brooklyn ENIC. I don't know if it's Eric or Eric. It looks like Eric. The board statement doesn't say that. The board of the club and ENIC reconfirm that Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale and ENIC is not looking to sell its stake in the club. So you would think they would be aware of the nature of the amount of the bid as well. So the rules state, the takeover panel's rules now state that the consortium is required by no later than 5 p.m. on October the 24th to either announce a firm intention to make an offer for Spurs or announce that it does not intend to do so. There is this deadline, but actually that deadline can be extended with the consent of the panel on takeovers and mergers. All very technical stuff. So obviously I've been asking around. A source close to the Lewis family told me this unsolicited and unnecessary interest does nothing to change the family resolve and commitment to do whatever it takes to drive success on the pitch. The club is not for sale. Obviously, we can only kind of wonder, would their stance, ENIC's stance, the Lewis family stance, waver if a huge bid were to actually be made? Because thus far, all we've had is these informal expressions of interest from three different parties. Certainly if the bid would be like way north of whatever the actual valuation of the club is, would that waver? Because they've been very, very strong, both ENIC and the Lewis family, on saying this club is not for sale, their stake is not for sale. And it would look a bit strange now if that were to change, if a huge bid came in from this consortium. We'll see. I mean, if if you missed it all early in the month, we had two other expressions of interest. There was an Asian consortium investors led by Dr. Roger Kennedy and Wingfire NG through Firehawk Holdings Limited. They indicated an informal intention to make an offer. I think it was on the day that Daniel Levy left his role, actually, that one. And then obviously there was also Amanda Stavely and PCP International Finance Limited, who showed enough interest without an actual indication of a forthcoming bid to trigger the takeover panel rules on disclosure, which again they had to then either make a bid or say I'm out, which they did. PCP made it clear they would not be making an offer, and at the time ENIC said they received and again unequivocally rejected preliminary expressions of interest. And they stated then in a quote, the board of the club and ENIC confirmed Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale. ENIC has no intention to accept any such offer to acquire its interest in the club. So again, very, very strong. So again, just for people that might be tuning in that might not be aware of other stuff and what we've previously said about the Lewis family, kind of in the main has been siblings Vivian and Charles Lewis. We've seen them at games. They've been in the director's box for Villarreal and Doncaster Rovers in the past week. I think I said that in the past video. Vivian went on the tour with the squad to Asia in the summer. And I think it's Nick Buchler. Her son-in-law has also is a major player within this new face of the Lewis family. And actually, I've dug up the quote. Do you remember Vinay Venkatesham did an interview, didn't he, earlier this month as well? And I dug this out as well. So this was who he was asked about all the takeover stuff. There's been a lot of newspaper articles and a lot of media speculation around a takeover, so I can be really clear on this. So the Lewis family are really clear. They see their involvement in Tottenham Hotspur being long-term and they see their involvement continuing through the generations. We made a statement very late last night, that one was kind of just referred to, and a statement I hope was unambiguously clear that Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale. It's very, very strong stuff and it has been throughout and it continued to be today. I've just realised, I'm in my press conference stuff that I wore for a press conference. I've just realised I still have on my arm the little wristband. They give you these wristbands to... essentially so you can be in the training ground without being thrown out. Sorry, just a little thing I noticed as I was gesticulating. So the 10:30 stuff from Thomas Frank's press conference is a little bit more on it. You could just watch out. Look out on social media platforms for that. I'll be putting that out with loads of quotes on various bits and pieces. So there's a bit more on that. One thing that did catch my eye in the report, which was in the Sun, about ERIC's approach and this consortium's approach, was that it mentioned a £250 million stadium naming rights deal having been lined up with a consortium. And it was it was saying like this big thing the Spurs could not do. I might be, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that's actually kind of the lower end of such stadium naming rights deals, unless it is quite a short-term contract. Maybe like less than 10-year deal, because I've been, as someone that's had to write about this many, many times over the years, because Spurs have half failed to sell the naming rights deals, also half have realised actually having Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the name has been a huge plus as well. They've got loads of extra financial benefits just from that, the branding. But in doing so, I have to look up other stadium naming rights deals. So I can tell you, if you're not aware, the Staples Center in Los Angeles, the home of the NBA teams, the Lakers, the Clippers, among other sports franchises, that became the Crypto.com arena in 2021 as part of a £565 million 20-year naming rights deal. So this is what I mean, 250 million is a bit like, okay. Also in LA, the SoFi Stadium, which is the home of the newish home of the Rams and the Chargers, the NFL teams, that was opened in 2020. Actually, it's only a year after the Spurs Stadium. Naming rights deal, 504 million over 20 years. So this is why I say, if it's going to be 250 million, then that must be half of that time frame. It could, if it's 20 years and it's 250, that's pretty low, because with the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, now known globally for football, NFL, sports events, concerts, Beyonce and the like, the expectation was always going to be that the naming rights deal that would eventually be got would reflect that status as one of the world's best arenas, one of the world's most well-known arenas as well. So I kind of, as soon as I saw that 250 million, it was a bit like, what? Like I say, unless it's a shorter term deal. But yeah, certainly that would not have been the kind of price that Spurs would have been expected for, let's say, a 25 year deal. So we shall see. I did ask Thomas Frank about the whole takeover situation or rejections in his press conference today. Just mainly, I wanted to get an idea from him. Was it strange for him to come from such a stable club in Brentford, where their owner's been there since like 2012, to come to a club which kind of was stable in that regard, but since he's arrived has had now 3 rejected takeover approaches, chairman leaving, a CEO joining, Lewis family members coming to the fore as this new power behind the throne, as it were. And so I just kind of asked, has it been different? He said, well, yeah, I've had a few more questions about it. So short answer is yes. But to start with, you can say it was very stable. Daniel had been here for almost 25 years, and then the change came. Okay, a little bit, didn't expect that. But since then, the new or old owners, whatever you want to call it, the Lewis family have been very transparent, very good in the way they've communicated, and it's very clear the club is not for sale. Again, not for sale. Vinay, on top of everything, is very clear. And for me personally, I feel in a very stable environment going into work every day, and also learn over a lot of years that the only thing that helps me and helps the team is I do everything I can to focus on the team and the players. So it was a nice answer. It was a good answer. And he was asked, I think it was by George from PA, about his chats with the Lewis family and whether he was going to have a big formal chat or whether they were informal one. He said, no, we've had more informal chats. Of course, it's about football, the club and the team and all that, but the bigger plans is something we're working on along with, and I think it's important to get to know each other and align everything. So yeah, that was kind of all the takeover stuff to kind of take on now. I think the next step will very much be, does a bid come in? If a bid comes in, suddenly things get a little bit more serious. Right now, it's like kind of, I don't know, walking into a shop and seeing a Mars bar and going, thinking about buying that. Might buy that Mars bar. I might. I'm just going to head off. I might come back and I'm just letting you know. I might. And the store owner going, no. Which is probably not the best analogy, because essentially you pay the price on it and you get it, which maybe is the case with Spurs. We'll find out. But yeah, the next step obviously is whether we get a bid in the coming days or whether we get a statement saying they're not. We still haven't heard anything, I don't think, from the Asian consortium. Either way, I don't think anyone's heard anything. Obviously, they've still got a while left to decide on that. Who knows? Maybe it ends up becoming a big bidding war, which certainly raises the price on everything. But yeah, we'll find out. But right now, like I say, it's been such a strong statement of not for sale that it would almost seem weird now to go against that. But, you know, in the world, I guess sometimes the money talks. I don't know what accent that was. It was weird. What else we have in the press conference? Dominic Solanke. My goodness, we got some mixed answers. I think between us, most of the journalists, it was a very small press conference. There weren't many in there. I think we all pretty much asked a question on Dominic Solanke just because we wanted to piece together more information on this strange scenario, which isn't a big thing, but he hasn't played a game yet this season. It is getting a bit odd. So the team news that he gave to begin with, Thomas Frank, he said, the latest is that everyone who was available for the last Premier League game is available again. Pape was out midweek as a precaution. He's good. He trained today, and that's positive. Kolo Muani is just a dead leg, which is dragging on. When someone raises his leg from the dead, please. It's a little bit annoying. He didn't say that. I'm saying that. It's a little bit annoying. It will take a few more days, so he will not be available. Dom is not available. So that he kind of just left it there, hanging on the end there. So someone else asked a question about Solanke and just about the injury, and he said, it's an ankle injury which has just been a little bit tricky. It's nothing big. We're positive it will be relatively quick. In the world of Spurs, relatively quick seems to be weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So I followed it up again by asking, has he got any pain in it, discomfort? And he said, it's not perfect. He didn't use the words pain, or actually he did a bit later, I think. But it's just that he said, it's not perfect, but we're going forward in the right direction. So that was followed up, I think, maybe by George again. Again, we were working as a team to try and get you the information on Dominic Solanke. And he was asked, because we saw, and he said to us that he was back training with the group, so is he still training despite the fact that his ankle is clearly not right? And he said no. because when you have that, when there's a bit of pain, it's just to see if we can get it right for right now. He wasn't on the grass today, but was on the grass earlier in the week. And then he was asked, with Dominic and Kolo Muani, do they need to be built up a bit when they come back after such a long time without playing or training? To which he said, Dom has been running a lot and done a lot, so he's in a fine-ish place. Of course, it will still take a few weeks to get up to a good place. And Kolo Muani has been off the grass for a couple of weeks. It will take some weeks after that. Randall Kolo Muani, he's obviously his own issue here with this. He was asked how did he suffer that dead leg. And he said, in training, I think it was Pape that ran into him. I need to blame Pape. He kind of laughed when he said that. But yeah, very unfortunate. It's just a contact injury. It's one of those where sometimes they can take a week or other times they can take a couple of weeks because it started to bleed again, unfortunately, which presumably is it's kind of like an internal thing. I'm guessing it's not on the outside with a dead leg. So yeah, they just have some weird injuries, Spurs. He was asked how Radu Dragusin was progressing. I think that was Jay from the Athletic asked that. He said he's progressing well. He's been on the grass for 3 weeks and something like that. So he's progressing well as he should do. We all know coming back from an ACL is a longer one, so it's on track. It will be some weeks before he's involved in the squad. Another answer I quite liked, he was asked about Lucas Bergval's ceiling and how high can his ceiling be. I don't know why this is representing ceiling. It's a very low ceiling. He said, hopefully as high as possible. My finest job, which was an odd word to use, my finest job together with the coaches is to maximise, again, I think sometimes the translation in kind of the word he would have used in Danish would not have been the same. My finest job together with the coaches is to maximise potential in every player, maximise potential in the team. That's my most important task. And Lucas is a fantastic prime example of that. How can we maximise his potential? Right now, he's in a very good flow. Right now, you can just see he's full of confidence, and that's a fantastic position to be in. I'm so pleased with him. Also, I think he's added more and more to his game. He's arriving more in the box, for example, which is important. So that's it. The press conference was quite good. There's other stuff that I don't want to kind of do it a disservice by reading it out, but he spoke well about the Premier League's initiative on this kind of suicide and talking about it and stopping people getting to that stage where they feel they have to do that. He spoke well about that. Vinay Venkatesham's been kind of big on that, a big part of that whole project that's in the Premier League right now. And he also spoke about Matt Beard as well, who died. And it's stuff like that. Again, I don't want to do that disservice just by kind of reading out the way I do. It's listen to it. He speaks so well on it all. That's really the main stuff from it. Like I said, there's more stuff at 10:30. Keep an eye out on that. It's got some interesting little bits and pieces. And of course, Wolves tomorrow. We'll see what team he picks. I wonder whether will Xavi be back on the left? Will he be in the playmaker role where I far prefer to see him? Who will the fullbacks be? It looked like the way he was doing the subs. Will it be Spence and Udogie or will it be Porro? Who do you leave for? Obviously, you've got Buda coming up quite quickly on the Tuesday. Artificial pitch as well, where some players maybe can't play on that because if they've got issues with kind of joints and hamstrings and things like that. We'll find out. Right, I'm going to head off. There you go. Just a short one. I did say it was just an update. Indy's just telling me to get going. I've got to finish this now, so I will. No doubt something else will break tonight, and this will be out of date by the time I've done it. But like I said before, I'll be back probably on Sunday. It will be to speak about everything that happened against Wolves and anything else that crops up, really. So there you go. Time to head off. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, look after yourselves. I shall catch you later. Goodbye.